Coming up on Loyola News Chicago, a piece of Loyola history that predates Christopher Columbus and no room at the inn.
There's not enough room at Loyola to go around. Coming up, find out why some upperclassmen are being forced off campus for their junior and senior years.
From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello and welcome to Loyola News Chicago. I'm Madeline Kenny. Here's the news. There are more freshmen on campus than ever before, and it's putting a squeeze on campus housing. More than 2,600 freshmen are about to sign up for their sophomore dorms, causing some upperclassmen to be placed on a waiting list. Grace Runkle spoke with one Loyola junior who is now unsure if she has a place on campus next year.
Junior Zoe Moss was excited to sign up for her senior year dorm, until Residence Life sent her an email saying she couldn't.
It says, because of your high lottery number, you've been placed on a deferred housing list. And I'm like, what is that?
Loyola has 21 dorms between its Lakeshore and Water Tower campuses. But that's not enough to house all the students who applied to live in dorms next year. On February 17th, Residence Life emailed some juniors and seniors saying it was unlikely they'd get a room. Since Loyola requires students to live on campus for their first 2 years, current freshmen get priority.
I most likely will not be placed in the dorms because the sophomore class is super high and they're required to live on campus.
Moss said she was excited to finally be a senior and get first pick of the dorms here at Fairfield Hall, but now she's not even sure if there's room for her on campus. Moving off campus would make things harder for Moss. Her parents are divorced, so it's easier for them to split a tuition bill instead of monthly rent. While she has loans to help cover Loyola's expenses, she would have to figure out a different way to pay for furniture and utilities.
I'm just jealous of people that get to apply. Here I am, senior year for dorms, and I'm on a waiting list.
Housing selection has already started, but Moss and other students on the deferred list won't find out if they get a room until freshmen finish picking their rooms on March 3rd.
Loyola should have accommodations for everyone, and I'm a senior, I should have first pick before the sophomores too, so that's just frustrating. Like, I've waited all in line to be a senior, have the upper hand.
Grace Runkle, Loyola News Chicago.
Residence Life says it's about 400 spaces short for next year. They also say they are working with an outside company to evaluate the housing demand on campus. At the end of the review, the group will make recommendations on what Loyola should do about housing moving forward. Mumps continue to spread around universities in Indiana. More than a dozen cases have been reported at Indiana University, Butler, and IUPUI. Some health officials in Indiana are recommending that students and faculty get a booster shot to stop the virus. Common symptoms of the mumps include fever, headache, muscle ache, fatigue, loss of appetite, and swollen glands. The Center of Disease Control recommend that you stay up to date on your vaccinations and avoid sharing items like cups and utensils to prevent the spread of the virus. Social sororities Kappa Kappa Gamma has found a special way to honor its sister Jordan Phillips, who recently fell ill. Phillips is a junior at Loyola and a member of the Kappa. She's been in intensive care since January 6th. Her sorority is teaming up with Felice's Kitchen to host fundraiser February 24th, with half of all sales from 5 to 9 p.m. going to the Phillips family. And Bulldog Ale House, which is open near Lakeshore campus, will donate 10% of its sales on February 25th. A Facebook event shows more than 1,000 people have invited to attend Felice's fundraiser. Kappa has also helped Jordan's family set up a GoFundMe page to ask for donations, and is close to meeting its $5,000 goal. The president of Felice says hosting the event was a no-brainer for the restaurant.
Really incredible to see Loyola come together, I guess, in not only like Greek life, but just across the board.
Makes me really proud to go to Loyola and call Loyola home. Jordan is seriously, it sounds so cliche, but she's the most genuinely nice person I've ever met in my life.
And it says Jordan has made progress in recent days, and her family appreciates the Loyola community's support. Radiation and chemotherapy can cause cancer patients to suffer a lot of negative side effects. One Loyola professor is leading research to find a more natural cure to the disease, and it starts in your own body. For the past 9 years, Loyola biology professor Dr. Michael Burns has been studying the interactions between cancer cells and a common bacteria in the human body. He believes that if you understand how the bacteria can mutate human tissue and cause tumors, then you're one step closer to finding a cure to the disease. Burns plans to publish his findings soon. Loyola is celebrating this week, celebrating the old along with the new. Friday, the university will dedicate the updated space housing Loyola's rare book collection, which has been described as a slice of historical heaven. In honor of this event, we tapped into the Loyola News Archive for a story from alum Jessica Cilello, about how extraordinary the collection is.
Students may think the materials in the stacks of Cudahy Library are really outdated, but one peek into the university archives can give you a new appreciation of old books. Here in the Rare Books collection, there are books in over 9 different languages, some dating back from the late 1400s. Altogether, there are over 11,000 volumes in the collection. Curator of Rare Books, Kathy Young, is very happy with the variety of books available.
We have a good selection. We have about 25 volumes that date from 1472 to about 1498, which is the early period of printing.
A large portion of the books make up Loyola's Jesuitica collection, which are materials by or about Jesuits focused primarily on theology and philosophy. The archives are more than just rare books, though. There are rows of shelves that contain Loyola records from the Office of the President, the Stritch School of Medicine, and student publications. Students are sometimes sent by professors like Dr. Karamansky to examine the rare books and other items in the archives.
Having an archive on campus gives them a chance to work on arranging and describing collections, learning appropriate procedures for the preservation, conservation of materials.
Students can find various mediums at the archives, including oral histories, photographs, and dissertations.
If students come in and see this, then they'll, see that there are things that they can use for their papers. Students are welcome. We love students to come in and use the resources.
Lately, Young has been in charge of arranging creative displays in the library with items from the archives and hopes that Room 218 will no longer be a mystery to students interested in their school's history. Jessica Cilello, Loyola News, Chicago.
So as Jessica said, the oldest book in the collection dates back to 1472. To put that into perspective, that's 20 years before Columbus and less than 20 years after the Gutenberg Bible. Coming up on Loyola News, we'll tell you about the efforts of fighting crime around the city. And Gentile was jamming for a good cause. More on that when we come back.
Hey, Luis, did you know that your Elmo's plan?
Your plan?
Yeah, Elmo's mommy said that if Elmo is too sick to go to school, the plan is that Elmo stays with Luis and Maria.
Oh, yes, we have that plan all in place.
Great!
You never know when your child will be too sick to go to school. So have a plan ready so your child can stay home and get healthy.
Luis is the man, because he's Elmo's plan. The man, because he's Elmo's plan.
To learn more about preventing flu, visit flu.gov.
Wednesday marked the deadliest day in Chicago for 2017. 7 people were killed and 13 more were wounded after Wednesday's violence. One of the victims was pregnant. And not even 2 months into this year, more than 90 people have been murdered and 400 wounded in Chicago. One of the best ways to combat crime is to prevent it. Loyola is holding a safety forum Thursday night to discuss Chicago police safety efforts in Rogers Park. Representatives from the CPD and campus safety will share what steps they're taking to keep the Loyola community safe. Rogers Park isn't the only neighborhood stepping up its law enforcement. Mayor Rahm Emanuel announced that this week that the CPD will be expanding its predictive crime fighting strategy in Austin and Deering neighborhoods in the south side of Chicago. This strategy uses more cameras and phone technology to track and analyze violent crimes. Another part of Loyola's effort to address crime in Chicago is a campaign through the School of Communication, addressing the theme of gun violence. Students in the multimedia production class partnered with Illinois Council Against Handgun Violence to produce public service announcements promoting awareness and action. The PSA from student photographer Murillo Bederode highlights a Loyola student's reflection on his experience with gun violence.
When I was in second grade, I was almost shot by a gun. A car pulls up next to me, just right on the street. He rolled down the window and just passing by casually pointed a pistol at me. This little piece of plastic, this little trigger on a gun, just pull it and someone's dead. You hold a pistol and then you literally have someone's life in your hands. All it takes is one person with one gun to ruin hundreds of lives. And they died because it's just that easy to get a hold of a gun in America. I could become a victim. You could become a victim. Anyone you know could be a victim, and that's what makes it so scary. Because it's our responsibility as Americans to keep America safe. So what are you going to do about it?
The PSAs were produced in a class taught by professors John Goheen and Pam Morris. We'll be featuring more of them in future programs. Chicago public schools are taking a stand against Trump's administration and its expanding deportation policy. Earlier this week, CPS officials told principals not to allow U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement agents into their schools without a criminal warrant. CPS has been distributing cards in English and Spanish that contain legal advice about immigration. CPS officials have also advised schools to take precautionary measures and to have parents update their emergency contact information. As of Thursday, a CPS spokeswoman says she wasn't aware of any instances where agents have tried to enter the schools. Back at Loyola, administration say they will continue to support undocumented students, but there's one thing Loyola won't do. Every year, a committee examines how Loyola serves its undocumented students. This year's report recommended Loyola call itself a sanctuary campus, but President Joanne Rooney says adopting a generic term won't really help undocumented students. Rooney released a statement saying, Loyola's message and action of solidarity and support will continue to advocate for and support undocumented students in a public way. However, we will not adopt the designated sanctuary university. Rooney says the university will continue funding scholarships for undocumented students, and campus safety will keep protecting the privacy of immigrant students. The Jesuit took over Gentile Arena for the Loyola men's basketball team's midweek contest against the Drake Bulldogs.
Set the world on fire, man, this year is gonna be Jesuit.
The Jesuits took over Gentile for their annual Jesuit Jam. This week, the Jesuits were there not only to support Loyola athletics, but also undocumented students. The Jesuits sold t-shirts for recommended $10 donations, and all proceeds went to Loyola's Magi Scholarship in Arrupe College. Although the exact dollar amount has not been yet calculated, the Jesuits said they sold over 300 t-shirts. Wednesday night was senior night, and the Loyola men's basketball team last home game of the season. Before tip-off, senior guard Milton Doyle was honored for his athletic accomplishments as he walked on the court holding his 2-year-old daughter. The Ramblers went on to dominate the Bulldogs, winning 80-65. This win and Missouri State's loss locked Loyola in for a top 5 finish in the MVC standings. This means the Ramblers will have a bye week for the first day of next week's conference tournament, the first time since the Ramblers joined the MVC in 2013. Make sure you follow the Loyola Phoenix and Rambler Sports Locker for live updates of Arch Madness from the Scotch Trade Center next weekend. Someone's getting lucky in Lafayette. An Indiana Lotto official says the winning Powerball ticket was sold in the hometown of Purdue University, and the ticket is worth more than $400 million. No one's claimed the ticket yet, but people are already taking to Twitter, hoping to sweet talk the winner into sharing their prize. Timothy Stewart tweeted to the still unnamed winner that he has always loved them, complete with a laughing emoji. Albert Evans reminded the Purdue Boilermaker fans that he's always been willing to tweet with them. But Darren Rovell pointed out that the winner will be making almost as much as Peyton Manning has made in his entire career. Chicago has hit the jackpot lately with our mild weather, so we leave you with a look at the beauty along the Chicago lakefront from a Loyola student photographer, Alice Keefe. Have a great day.
This weekend, it's been so much warmer. Basically, last week it was a complete frozen tundra, and now it feels like spring out. It is February. Normally I'm like frozen, bundled up in a big parka with like scarf, hat, and gloves, and now it's like, feels like almost summer.
Match me.
It's really nice just to walk along Lakeshore Drive and enjoy the warm weather. Just kind of go walk around all the stores, and it's really sunny out. It's super nice. I'm originally from Minnesota, so we have the same kind of crazy weather there. I'm used to there still being a couple feet of snow on the ground. I'm definitely enjoying it, but it's just a little strange and out of the norm for it to be like this. I'll just enjoy the view.